All right, welcome back to A&M Sports. We got a little episode on basketball and the return to play. Matt, why don't you get us started there?
Oh, I got a heater to start us off with too. Um, so Stephen A. Smith has was talking about how NBA players in the Disney bubble are going to be sexually frustrated because
Hey,
and
man,
needed.
I gotta pause you right here, man.
Yeah.
We're trying to get people to, listen to our basketball takes, and starting off by quoting Stephen A. Smith before
Yeah.
we've told
That's-
anybody what we're about. This gonna be a rough start, but
That's
okay,
a
you know what?
rough one, eh? But
We
I mean,
you started. Let's keep it going. Let's find out what you
for
have to say.
for something like this, I think it's fitting that we quote Stephen A. Smith because the man is a clown. The man is an absolute clown. But
Hey, but he's been right from time to time, and I do see this kind of being like a rough thing. But I guess what did he have to say about it?
well, he just I don't know exactly what he had to say about it, but like just the fact that
What do you have to say about it? I
yeah,
guess, then?
I mean, I saw this other tweet where it was like comparing it to the NHL, where it's like, oh, do you think Sidney Crosby is going to be complaining about having sex in the NHL bubble? And it's like. Yeah,
Like,
it's,
maybe.
it's
I don't know.
It's honestly, it's probably on his mind. It's just he's not going to say anything about it. You know?
Like, you're right. Like, I mean, I don't know who the hockey version of Stephen A. Smith. Like, maybe Paul Bissonnette saying something about this. You know, like it's not like LeBron James is out there being like, guys, I don't know if
Right?
we can do this because of this. Like, I mean, if Biz Nasty was saying something like that, I feel like not everybody would be like, see these hockey players, man.
But like, yeah, like come on. I mean, and then they added that. I mean, do you think that this new mobile hotline that they added to snitch on people for whatever the case? We'll talk a little bit more about it after. But do you think this is going to be used to snitch on people? Like, you know, the what's it called? The Nick Young and D'Angelo Russell situation is
Oh, no,
is something
no,
like that
no.
gonna pop up now in this
Oh,
bubble?
man. Oh,
I mean, I
man.
feel
Hey,
like
I
the
wanna
chances
say-
are more likely now in this little
First of all, in
bubble.
D'Angelo's defense, apparently a lot of people like that was like a thing. I think maybe Nick Young or somebody else on the Lakers had started like as pranks. They would actually just take videos of each other saying incriminating stuff. So yeah, it got hacked and released, but like
Yeah,
I feel like
that's
the
kind of.
only person whoever invented this game is not a great decision maker.
But
I want to say.
You know what? Yeah, but like honestly, thinking back on it though, like how could you like? I know the relationship between them two was fucked up because of it, but looking back, like D'Angelo Russell's not really the bad guy here because like
No, he was a 20-year-old who got his phone hacked, who videotaped somebody else saying they had an affair.
Yeah,
But you know,
yeah, but,
we shouldn't get in on this right now.
but at the end of
Oh,
the
I'm
day,
sorry.
like it should be a good thing that you're reporting an affair
Yeah.
here, right?
No,
Like
no. I'm saying
Okay,
that no
okay.
matter how you slice
Yeah.
it, D'Angelo really didn't do much wrong because
For
he's playing a
some-
game that
yeah,
you guys
for-
said that was okay. Like recording
yeah,
other
for some
people.
reason I'm just cluing in. I'm cluing into this now. But okay.
Yeah, no.
Besides that.
But so for that hotline, I mean, I think people honestly, not for that kind of situation, but I think people, I mean, the NBA players have said they have been reporting other people, and I think some athletes did actually express legit concerns about like, hey, about my
Yeah,
health, about
yeah.
what this is gonna mean. I know some people are backing out because they got young families. Maybe if somebody, it does give them the ability to be safe without needing to make a public outcry or do whatever. Like
Yeah.
be able to do their job without bringing too much attention to themselves and without being unsafe. So I think that's kind of dope.
But I was like, players have expressed their concerns in the NHL and the NBA about like I'm sure being away from their families and stuff in the bubble, and like I think
Oh yeah.
I think just because like Stephen A. Smith brought up just like sex and stuff like that, that's when people kind of started to blow it out of proportion. But if you actually think about it, it's no different than like, hey, like it sucks as a player saying it sucks that I'm away from my family for a while. It sucks that I can't be with my
No,
wife or whatever.
100%.
So like I
100%.
completely
Or
sympathize
like
with the
NBA players don't get to have like the typical Christmas because there's Christmas Day
Oh yeah,
games,
yeah, exactly.
Like,
So I sympathize
and-
with them for sure.
right? And I'm not trying to say like, oh man, look at their lives, it's so hard, blah blah blah.
I know.
But like it's just the type of thing that we always talk about. Like these athletes don't have to worry about the regular I can't enjoy my Christmas maybe because of these stresses, but this would never happen if I was rich. But it's like there's other things that do make life suck no matter where you are.
Right? Like, let's be honest here. Not having sex sucks. So
It
th-
some people
come
for
on.
some people some
Come
people
on.
are about that. I'm not trying
but
to not trying to say that
No, of
life
course.
is any better or worse without, but it's some people find it very enjoyable, and I'm sure those people would not want to stop.
Exactly. And speaking of like the snitch hotline, though, like apparently you said that Dwight Howard was caught. What happened with him?
I think Dwight Howard said that he was somebody snitched on him for not wearing a mask.
Was he trying to like kiss Kelly Oubre or something? Or
Ooh, buddy.
Or we get into that,
man.
but I don't know. I guess
No,
it's
man.
it kind of like did they really have to do this snitch hotline thing?
So here, Dwight Howard and Montrezl Harrell from the LA Times are among those critical of the NBA snitch hotline. And so they were, it's like, I'm around nobody. Am I really supposed to be wearing a mask? Part of it is just like, if you're breaking the, like,
Yeah.
because the whole mask thing is to protect yourself in places where physical distancing measures aren't in place. And I don't know all the science, but, when you're that close to things, like, I think it is important to wear the mask. But it's not like I don't understand, I guess, where he's coming from, where he's like, yo, there's nobody here. If everybody else is smart, then in theory I shouldn't need to wear a mask here.
Like, what the thing is with that, it's like, I feel like I saw something about Doc Rivers joking about it, saying like, yeah, like start snitching on people because like it's gonna be easier to play if these people get suspended or whatever. But like,
oh no, Doc was like, yo, we're gonna be the only team here left by the end of the week.
Yeah. So I
Something
mean,
like that.
it's. I just don't want to see it get used in a way that's actually gonna punish like players for little petty stuff. Because someone else, I read a tweet that's saying, yeah, this is petty and stuff. I'm like,
you know who said it's petty? Rudy Gobert.
Rudy Gobert.
Rudy Gobert told reporters it's I don't know if someone's gonna use it, but I think it's sort of petty.
Rudy Gobert should not have been allowed to be inside the bubble. Like, let's be real here.
Rudy Gobert should be inside his own sealed personal bubble there. Man.
Yeah,
I don't know if they make him 7 feet tall, but he needs to custom make one.
That guy fucked up hardcore.
He didn't. Honestly, he didn't. There were a lot of. I don't think he was as bad. I think this is similar to the. Well, okay, not similar to the D'Angelo Russell thing, but like similar in the way that it's like he's getting hate that he doesn't necessarily deserve. Cause
it's like,
oh, does he deserve it? Yeah, but we're a bunch of other people who didn't touch a bunch of microphones doing
right?
Similar things.
It's like, like if I got coronavirus right now, like you can call me the biggest idiot in the world because there's some things that I definitely shouldn't have been joking about and stuff, like.
Oh, right, exactly.
So I mean, it's unfortunate that it happened, but it's no, I'm not saying I'm not laughing at the coronavirus because it is real, but
no, 100%.
It's a pretty like fucking funny situation when it comes down to it. In hindsight. No,
I think it's funny because you realize just how childish some of these penalties are, where it's just like trying to like incorporate like a real life serious thing into like sports. You just kind of realize how ridiculous some of the things are, like or how hard like I guess you never really think about like how weird it is that these guys spend like 4 months away or 8 months away.
Right,
all the time until you need to figure out how to put them in one place for just a month.
It's such a weird situation, but it's happening, and I'm glad it's happening because I'm selfish and I like to watch sports. But yeah, I was building on this little snitch thing. I don't think this situation was from the snitch hotline, but King Center Rashawn Holmes crossed the Disney campus line to pick up delivery food, and he was forced to quarantine for 10 days. And yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, this is actually kind of why I like the snitch hotline, and I don't think it has to do with suspensions. I think it's like, so if you break the rules, you have to quarantine. Look, the punishments I feel like are going to seem severe, but they're not punishments. They're just ways to keep you and everyone else safe.
This is literally just following health guidelines is what it is.
Like, what Rashawn Holmes did is not probably like he went out to get from like a food delivery thing. So it really seems like he was trying to social distance. So this isn't like an attack on Rashawn Holmes or anything like that.
And but I understand. I understand like why he had to be put in quarantine for 10 days and why it's a problem. And I think it's a good thing that this happens. So now players are extra cautious of when they're going to pick up food, for example. Like,
and I also think
it's a good precedent to set.
For the snitch hotline, it's not like we're gonna attack, we're not gonna vilify, we're not gonna find the guy necessarily. Yeah, it's just okay if he does something that's unsafe, let's make the situation more safe.
Yeah,
exactly. I don't want it to be like, for people talk about like, okay, maybe law enforcement isn't enforcing, like mask policies or things like that in certain places. And the point isn't necessarily even to put like people in jail who don't respect the rules, because that's not the point. The point is just to make everybody as safe as possible. Because at the end of the day, that's like that's really the reason we're not putting mask things to see who's a good citizen, who isn't.
Yeah.
It's trying to keep everybody safe.
But that
When we can't.
Now I'm thinking like further down the line though, when let's say that they get to a point where they are playing when they're playing conference finals and finals, like if we get to that point, is there going to be a thing where it's like, what if something happens where someone crosses the line and then they're forced to quarantine and miss playing in the NBA finals?
I think that's one of the things that the NBA, like, they're allowed extra substitutes and extra subs that they can bring in.
Yeah.
And it's something that this is why I feel like maybe even having these big play-in tournaments and having more teams maybe even wasn't necessarily more advantageous. Like, I feel like personally, you need to design something where the players need to be able to be quarantined for the 2 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
So whether that maybe means having more time in between rounds. So like, let's say you just if you have to quarantine for 8 days or for 2 weeks, you have a bigger chance of being able to return later down the line.
Yeah.
That could be one thing.
That's
I don't know.
tough situation. I just feel like if that was
a tough
situation, it's like I feel like the team or the
'Cause it
NBA
splits
would just
easily,
cut.
right?
Yeah, like the team or the NBA will, like, if it's like fucking let's just say it's Steph Curry's in the finals again, right? Like I know he's not in the bubble, whatever, but like to say like a big time player like that, and someone snitches on him, and the protocol says he has to quarantine for 10 days. I feel like the league and the teams would figure out a way to just bypass it and just test them extra hard or whatever.
Yeah. Have you ever seen like concussion spotting in the NFL the NHL?
Exactly, I know. So
like, there is no doubt in my mind that players will be doing some.
This is gonna be a problem for some players now, but I feel like we're not even gonna hear about it when we get to crunch time. Like, it's gonna be like
this is gonna be stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes out a few months afterwards.
Yeah,
I had coronavirus when this was happening. But blah, blah, blah.
Honestly, I can see stuff like that happening. But I mean, what impact does that have unless a massive outbreak happens, right? So I don't know. It's
I mean, there've been like athletes that have died from this as well. It's not like anybody really is immune. Exactly. And then I've also been seeing that even young people that are minorities are actually at a higher risk. Like, I don't know, man. It's tough, but it's also the work staff, right? That's serving these people, that are giving them food, that are cleaning up.
Yeah,
they're not as equipped to deal with all this. They can't just choose to opt out, and that's the thing. When the NBA and when the NHL decide, no, we want to return to play, what they're also saying is to the cities that are hosting them, because those elite powers want them. Hey, those workers, they're going to have to do these things because it's not play. I mean, that's the other thing. It's always the people that you don't see that, like when we talk about like, player salaries being too high, what we ignore is the fact that there's 31 people that can afford to buy a team full of guys getting paid that salary. And when we, talk about the return to play and the dangers of work, what we ignore is the people who don't have to, just work for that 60 minutes and, just train and are able to distance themselves all the other times.
Yeah, I really want, like, what kind of, like, workers are in the, like, are these just regular, like, hotel employees that are working now? Or are they under contract now that, like, they can't leave?
I don't know all the specifics, but I know that outbreaks don't, at least for construction, because SoFi Stadium, which is what the LA Rams are constructing, they've had, I'm pretty sure, multiple outbreaks, and work just keeps continuing. They'll segment shifts, so it's like only people working at 12 hours at a time, and like less crews at the same time. But no, outbreaks are still happening, and it's just something that that they're okay with.
I don't understand this though, because like if you're gonna let like hotel employees and stuff inside the bubble, and if they're assume that they're not living in the bubble and stuff, then doesn't that defeat the whole purpose of the bubble?
Let's I'm gonna give it a quick Google right now, but it's also just like, should they be forced to live inside a bubble for like that much less money too?
Yeah, that's also, they should, if that is the case, that they are being forced to live, not being forced obviously, but they are
coerced. I mean, you can say forced though, because like capitalism and all that.
Yes, I know. But so say they're being forced to live in the bubble, like they definitely should be compensated for that. But I don't know if they are. I hope they are.
So here we go. From USA Today, how the Disney employees will work inside the NBA campus's bubble site.
Okay.
So Adam Silver has acknowledged that, like, especially in Florida, where it's been one of the most affected states, it's been rough.
They
but
chose a bad place, in my opinion.
no, right? Well, they chose one of the best places because this is the most neoliberal kind of city, right? This is like owned by Disney, right? Like,
I know.
they own it. They can make all the rules.
I know.
But at the same time, no, this is terrible. Like,
It's
the Blue Jays had
awful.
to like shut their facility
Right?
down like instantly because
Oh
even
my
if you're distancing, if nobody else is, you're done.
That's the thing. That's exactly the thing. It's like it's just simple logic. Like I don't know how this shit gets done. Like the NHL
Like,
I'm glad they did both hub cities in Canada because Canada's
at least
handled
there's
it.
so many less people, but
and
even
less
Canada
people,
handling it.
yes.
We haven't really, like, Ontario hasn't handled it. Ontario just has less people.
Less
And is
people,
less
yeah.
bad. It just happens to be right beside the states, which are massively, like, been rough. But I think
Yeah.
even New York has had a couple days recently with no cases. BC's been getting worse. New
We've
York,
getting worse,
with
yeah.
the billions of
I
people,
know.
had no cases. That's
It's
ridiculous,
just
man.
unpredictable as fuck. But
I think it's because BC, we really didn't take it seriously here, and maybe we were just affected slower or got here
But
later, or
these-
maybe we were doing a good job at the
I
beginning.
think we were doing a really good job at the beginning, though.
You think it was actually? I really wasn't
think
sure,
so. I think so. But
but I think we're seeing why
Yeah.
Bonnie Henry kept the NHL or kept
yeah,
Vancouver
no,
safe
I'm
from
glad.
the NHL
I'm glad.
rather,
But
not the other way around.
Exactly.
Vancouver would probably have been a good thing for the NHL, but definitely
Oh.
not vice versa.
Yeah, but no, yeah. Coming back to this, so are the do you know if the employees are allowed to leave?
So Unite here, local 737, the union that represents workers in Walt Disney World food and beverage and housekeeping,
Yeah.
says that the unemployment system is really kind of keeping people forced in this choice: either starve or go back to work in a dangerous environment. And about 30% of our members haven't received a penny in unemployment in 10 weeks. So that means basically they are being forced to work. Now, how are those work protocols being happened?
Yeah.
So the NBA quarantine site will not be open to the general public, as Disney World will be. However, and so Disney, the president of the local, is saying that they're doing a good job, even though of like kind of keeping the bubble isolated, even though he's been critical of them of the past. So it really, I don't
This
know
is
all the
weird.
specifics.
Yeah.
It seems to not be the worst. However, he does seem to acknowledge the fact that they still don't have a choice. Whether you do it nicely or not isn't the point when you're forcing people to do this. Like 10 weeks,
Yeah,
no
no,
EI,
yeah.
that's insane.
Yeah. But so wait, the employees
Oh,
at
and
Disney
no,
World are
they're
working
not,
for the
they're
NBA?
not yeah, like they're bubbled in a specific location where regular people
Okay.
can't access, but they're not
Yeah,
stuck
yeah.
in there because
yeah, that's what I'm
you're
saying,
talking
though.
about thousands of workers in hotels that would never see their family for
Yeah.
3 months, which just can't happen.
So what I'm saying though is like that doesn't make sense if they're allowed to go home and stuff, and
So I
they're
think
in
they
contact with
get-
players.
But you get like tested on your way in and that kind of thing with the
Oh,
temperature,
okay.
which I don't know exactly how
But
well
then-
that can go. But
then
that is
why
the play.
then that's the stupidest thing if like a player just because he steps over an arbitrary line that he has to quarantine. Like why don't you
Right.
why don't you just test him, see if he's fucking fit and doesn't have the virus, test him a few times, and then make a decision if he has.
You
to
know what it
quarantine for the
reminds me of,
extra
man?
5 days.
It reminds me of, and this is like pretty important. Reminds me of like fear theater, kind of in response to 9/11, where there's a lot of things being done to make people
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
safe that actually
yeah.
don't make a difference about your safety.
Yeah, that's
like that taking your shoes off and all that has not prevented a single attack.
I cannot
And other
believe this
attacks
shit.
happen.
I can't believe that we just fucking thought about like what happens if the fucking this isn't even a bubble if the workers are allowed to leave and shit. Like
To
what?
minimize foot traffic, housekeeping staff will service rooms once a week, but can increase upon request. And for public spaces, they will routinely sanitize the elevator, lobby, and
I don't
handrails.
care. This is honestly stupid, man. How
No, the thing,
in
you can't
Florida?
have
They're in
sports come
Florida
back.
too. They're in
Oh,
Florida.
Disney
too.
is not. I was wrong. Disney is not testing employees for COVID-19.
Oh, it's even worse.
The NBA is will have daily testing for players, coaches, and staff, and they will be able to leave. I saw like they can bring in additional assistant coaches. Like if your
This
coach
is-
gets COVID and assistant, you can like send them home. You're fine.
Wow, this is
Or like you
yeah.
can just kick them.
I mean, this just doesn't seem like they've actually
Every
thought about
day,
every
Disney
way to
employees
go
will
about
take
this.
their temperature at home.
Oh, so you're
Uh,
leaving it up to the employees?
I was about to say this really
What?
sounds like a good way to force employees to come into work.
this also sounds like a way for like, okay, yeah, like we're putting the responsibility in the employee's hands, but if this employee is struggling to make ends meet and he's like,
15
fuck,
bucks an hour.
I'm a little sick, but I kind of need this money to survive. I'm gonna go into work. Like, I mean, come on, at least fucking if you want to keep shit safe, at least you do the NBA or Disney, whatever, conduct the temperature every time the employees come. That would make a little bit more sense.
But then
to
what
me.
happens is they don't get paid for it, and that's going to
I
hurt
know.
them even more probably
know.
than getting COVID, which is messed up that you got to choose between breathing and, you know.
I know. This is fucked, man.
It's ridiculous.
What
I think
the
Freddie
fuck?
Freeman of the MLB as well had it, and he had like a pretty brutal response to it.
Yeah.
And his like talking about like how rough it was for him convinced like other MLB players to like, yo, maybe I'm not coming back for it.
This is
Like,
this is
it's
the
scary.
more I
If
the more I
a player
think
gets
about
it,
it,
it's scary.
yeah, the more I think about it, the more we talk about it, the more I'm like this is not as safe as they're branding it to be.
No. There is no. I don't know how you can. If you're advocating for fully prioritizing people's safety,
Yeah, I know.
I don't know how you can advocate for the return of sports. You can.
Yeah, I don't
Like,
think you
I'm not
can.
trying to say that the people who are doing that are being reckless because I don't know everything, and I'm definitely no medical professional. I'm not saying that there isn't like a safest way to do it, but what I am saying is the safest way to do it is more dangerous than waiting 6 months for the next season. So as soon as COVID, like we have a response for it, like just
Yeah.
keep yourselves ready to start a new season.
Right.
Like that would, in my opinion, be the safest thing you could do, but that's not what is going to be done.
That comes, and then it comes down to like what happened in Vancouver with the hub city with the NHL. It's like, I think what Bonnie Henry was saying was, or this was one of the deal breakers, was that if a player got COVID, that they would have to stop the series and whatever, right? But the NHL didn't want that. So it's like, okay, so a player gets tested, has COVID. Obviously, this player has been in contact with every teammate, every staff member,
right? Like
every staff member, part of his team. Also, if they
the
were playing in a
water boy
series,
splashing water in them.
yeah, even if they were, and if they were in a series, they are pretty much in contact with all the players on the other team. So it's like,
right, like high fives, all that kind of stuff.
And you're not going to
Just
stop
talking to each other.
Yeah, you're not going to stop a series where potentially 100 people are in contact with a person with coronavirus. Like, I mean, where are your priorities at here? Clearly, it's not safety. So, I mean,
but then I think that so a lot of talk about the whole COVID thing has been like, it's not that COVID is the problem; it's showing how certain other things are the problem, like healthcare, like a bunch of different fields, housing, things like that.
I think this shows that corporations
Same thing in
want
sports.
money and not safety.
No, I was gonna say for sports are really inclined away from the player. We talk about players getting paid too much and all the advantages being for them.
Yeah.
But when you actually look at the fact that other people have this much money, like COVID is kind of putting a magnifying glass about how sports are not here to protect the athlete at all.
Oh,
and that the athlete is one of the many people who are exploited in the sport.
That's another great perspective on it for sure.
And,
that is,
it's.
You look at it from the top down. It's like, these fucking corporate execs don't give a fuck, and even if you feel
the owner of the Houston Texans, before he passed away, was like, we can't have the inmates running the prison.
Yeah.
When talking about the NFLPA having a voice.
Like, you can't just think about, because these athletes make so much money that they're not getting exploited. They are getting exploited, right? Just like all of us
they are. And you know what? And maybe the Sidney Crosbys and stuff. First of all, actually, if you play for a salary cap, you are getting exploited because you'd get paid more if there was no salary cap.
Yeah.
Because that artificially, or like
so
in the
true.
NBA they have max contracts. No, that's literally so un-American. But the other thing is like, you can say the people at the top, your Sidney Crosbys, your your LeBron James, maybe they aren't the same way because they can profit off their likeness in other ways and they've been empowered.
But still, they're part of the
other
system.
Kids
exactly.
No, I was gonna say the 1,000 other kids that you've never heard of that have to be sacrificed to the machine to bring out the best in everybody else. Like when the AHL or the CHL player breaks his leg and then is faced with or an AHL player, let's say he's in the States and he doesn't have maybe the best medical care or whatever because he gets cut, then what happens to that guy?
Exactly. It's just, we're all part of the system, and if you think that anyone that's not like a corporate exec or a person that actually has the power is not getting exploited, you're kind of naive, because everyone that's part of the system in the system getting exploited by the system.
We are, and they are doing the exploiting as well. We all
Exactly.
are.
We're all
part of it. Like,
exactly.
We're supporting them every time we watch them too.
It's
it is an unfortunate reality.
It is an unfortunate reality, but
that you got to, and eventually, like, it's got to come to a place where you make a decision about what you want to do. Like for me, that's I'm not buying Madden this year because I've just come to a certain place
there
where
you fucking go.
Can't support certain things that EA does.
Stand up to the fucking man, but
or sorry, I'm not buying Madden. I'm not buying Shell, but right away at least we'll see. But no, I'm kidding about all that, but. It's important to think about. I think the bubble's giving us a lot to kind of think about how sports operates and who it operates for. I think this was a decent first episode.
I think let's end it on a positive note here. Let's step back and let's just enjoy this tweet that what's his name? Rashawn Holmes' mom said when he got caught crossing the line. Is the tweet. You only crossed the line for your mama's cooking, and I was not in Florida, sir. Lol, love you, baby. That's just wholesome.
You love to see it, right? Like, what a perfect response to what happened, Like, no, like, hey, this is stupid. Not like, hey, what happened. Made a fun joke out of it. We're all just, I feel like, a little bit happier having heard that tweet.
Yeah, that's the kind of positivity I wanna see here. So I guess we'll end it there.
All right, stay safe out there, guys. Thanks for listening, and have a good one.